Would it be all right with you if your life got a little bit easier?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah? Oh, yeah.
And would it be handy to know that there's one thing that you could do that doesn't take a lot of time, energy, or money to make that happen?
Yes.
And because we're all business owners here, would it be maybe even a little bit extra awesome if that added to the bottom line of the business at the end of the day?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Okay, good. You're all in the right room. The thing I've discovered is that when you take the time to discover your strengths, I like to think of them as superpowers because that's more fun. You can make all of those things happen with ease. And you don't even make them happen. They just sort of start happening. I want to talk about what superpowers and strengths are, how you're going to discover them, and then what that's got to do with your life and business and how all that interrelates. And I'll give you an example of somebody who's been playing to their strengths so that you can get a feel for what that might look like for yourself as well. We're all good?
Yes.
Discovering your strengths is the number one thing I've seen people do for success. What a strength is, and again, I'm thinking superpowers because there's not just one way to be strengthy. How you discover them is to, or rather, let me go back. What they are is something that you're inherently good at. It's something that's not a learned skill. It's just something that you know how to do. You're just good at it, which is like Superman just knows how to fly, right? He didn't he didn't go to flying school. Right? When you've got this innate strength, what happens is it's different from a learned trait. I can learn how to fly potentially. I'm never going to be Supergirl, Superman, anything like that because it's not in my bones in that kind of way. When we're talking about a strength, it is in your bones in that kind of way. You can't go learn it. It's already there. All we're going to do is consciously bring it to the front and tweak it so that it's absolutely amazing. You want to make sure that you're using your superpowers for good and not for evil? So we'll come back to that for just a minute. Okay. If these superpower strengths are something that are just things that you're born and innately do, you can't help not doing them, right? You have to do it. Then what will happen is we can translate that into your life and business. When you start to play with your superpowers more often, you are more empowered. You're going to show up as more magnetic. You'll be naturally more attractive. Your expertise is going to be a lot more obvious because your light is going to be shining. That's how that goes. You play to your expertise. People want to be near you because you're that girl. This is what happens when you don't play to your strengths and you don't take the time to learn about your superpowers. You turn into grumpy pants. Okay? Nobody wants to hang around with grumpy pants. If your friends are secretly whispering behind your back, do you think Mary's a little grumpy pants lately? You know you've gone to the dark side. Nothing personal, Mary. Generic Mary. When you don't play to your strengths, your energy gets drained at the end of the day, right? Things feel harder, they take longer. It's just like seriously having a drag, maybe a little ball and chain around your ankle. When you play to your strengths, when we actually discover what they are, then at the end of the day, you're going to be energized. You might be tired. You might still have challenges, I guarantee you will, and yet you're going to have a level of ease with addressing those because you're playing to your strengths. I know it sounds obvious, and yet I cannot tell you how many people do not do this, including myself until I decided to put it on my own radar because somebody else made me aware of it. This is really low-hanging fruit in terms of making our days and lives and businesses better. How you discover your strengths, there's a couple different ways. I like to think of them as objective and subjective different ways. Objectively speaking, we can go take assessments. There's a bazillion of them out there. I'm sure we're all aware of that. I have a couple of favorites. I love the Myers-Briggs. I love the Enneagram, which is spelled with an E. I love the StrengthsFinder assessment. These are assessments that you would find a trained professional. They would walk you through it. Some of them are online. Some of them are face-to-face. Some of them you just talk it all through. They're awesome. You get paperwork. It tells you all of your strengths in an order, right? As some of you are nodding, you've done this. Especially the StrengthsFinder comes to mind. It tells you things like I'm good at maximizing something. I take it from mediocre and I turn it into something awesome. And if I can't take it from mediocre to awesome, then I'd rather not interact with it at all. That would be true for me. If we can't go to awesome land, I don't want to play. There's subjective ways. You can take yourself to that ever-famous walk along the beach or go out in nature. I like to go to a museum or someplace that feels big and spacious and sort of creative and open, because that puts your mind in a different space, right? You're in a different kind of a headspace where things feel more possible. And then you can take a look back at what have been your successes, where have you really feel like you've succeeded in various ways personally and professionally over the years, and just notice what was going on for you while that was happening. Right? You're just taking notes about yourself. You're in the observer's position. You're not judging. Yeah, that day was okay, except for that. You don't go there. You're just like, I did this well that day. You're writing notes. You can also do this with a friend or colleague. What do you think my strengths are? Do you have a sense of what my superpowers are? Would you be willing to tell me 3 things that you think are on the top of my Supergirl list? Again, this is not a debate. When they tell you you're awesome and that you're really good at maximizing things, you don't, oh, shucks. You just go, thank you. You just write it down. You take the time to discover your strengths. It doesn't take a super long time. It doesn't have to take a lot of time, energy, or money. It can be super fun. You can do it with some friends. You start to look then at how you apply these in your business life and in your personal life. Things are going to get easier, which means that you're going to show up as your more authentic self. You'll be more magnetic and attractive, which is straight money in the bank type of thing, right? More clients come to you because you're appealing, more money in the bank. I'll give you an example of a client who I've known over a long period of time now. He had just moved to the West Coast from the East Coast. Completely different mentality, as we know, as West and East. He had a very unique upbringing, so he's a bit of a renegade. We'll call him Adam, the renegade. He's a general contractor now, but when he moved to San Francisco, he was not. He was very much working for somebody else, trying to figure out how to make his way in this new city because he didn't have any connections. He decided he wanted to start his own business, which his wife was not happy about, while he was working for this other guy. He starts laying a few foundations. He starts going to job sites because he's managing projects for another general contractor. He starts going to job sites and starts bringing people coffee. Starts making friends with everybody on the job, starting to talk to everybody, whether it's the person just standing there handing nails to someone or the homeowner or whatever. Everybody. He spoke to everybody. He brought drinks like coffees and little snacky things. And what we discovered he was doing when we started to take a look back, and he ultimately did start his business, he's doing extremely well right now. What he was doing was using this power that the Strength Finder people call individualization. You and I can just call it, hey, they actually look at people and notice them and speak to them and not speak to the group, right? He has this thing. When Adam looks at you, he's looking at you. He's looking at you. And it lands, and people remember him because of that. And as a result, in 5 short years, his business has gone from 0 to now he's got 2 project managers, and he's about to contract with 2 more because he's that busy. His company is now in the millions of dollars, not the small 5 digits. In 5 years, because of this one strength. Now, it's not the only thing he's doing, clearly. And because he does this, I know he develops business a lot more easily than people who are not doing that kind of thing, right? They're leveraging other superpowers for their business. This is his main one. This is his main go-to. A superpower is a strength that you inevitably have. You're inherent, you're born with it, you can't help but do it. The more you do it, the more ease and flow you'll have in your life, which translates into more attractiveness for you in general, and certainly for your business and clients, which of course is going to relate into money. And nobody's going to whisper grumpy hands behind your back, right? Nobody's going to say grumpy pants. And you discover these superpowers by just taking a little time for yourself, right? Subjectively or objectively, I would recommend both. So what this might look like when we walk out of here today is that you could spend a half hour, maybe a half day, with a colleague, a friend, maybe by yourself, whatever feels appropriate for you, but give yourself a chunk of time, a chunk of dedicated time to discover what your strengths are. And then the next week, you go and you play to those strengths. Because if we do this for a month, what's going to happen is at the end of the month, you're going to feel different, and your business is going to look different, and your bank account is going to start to look different too. I encourage you to go out, discover your strengths, and report back to me, because I'm always curious to know how it goes for people. Thank you, ladies.